As a young racing fan, I was quite intrigued by Ayrton Senna, from his Formula Ford years, and then that amazing Formula 3 battle with Martin Brundle, probably one of the most epic Formula 3 battles ever, and just his intensity just fascinated me. And as a young photographer at Kyalami in South Africa, I saw him race with Tolman, and then he progressed to Lotus. And, I always had a desire to become a Formula One photographer. And the time came in the late 80s where I contacted Jeff Hutchinson, who was at the time the boss of IPA, International Press Agency, that did all the work for Marlboro, the PR work for Marlboro. He had a photographer, Jad Sheriff, and I joined them as a junior photographer, going to all the Grand Prix and some of the MotoGPs. And as a result, because Senna was racing from Marlboro McLaren at the time, it was the logical kind of thing that I got to see a lot of him, and I was kind of in awe of him throughout. So yeah, it was an opportunity, I suppose, that only today I can really appreciate the magnitude of it. Interestingly, when I first arrived, it was a time when there was a lot of testing. Teams would spend 4 or 5 days at Imola, Estoril, testing, etc. And one day at Imola, it was really pouring with rain, and just the whole day, there were about 1,000 fans in front of the Ferrari pit garage, and of course Senna was there. And during the rain, there was it dried up a little bit, and I went out to the track, to the last corner, which is adjacent to the pits, and I was standing there, just a bit of a drizzle coming down, and I was aware of someone on my right, and I turned around, and there was Senna wearing this luminous red Marlboro bomber jacket, and he smiled at me, and I smiled at him, and we chatted. I can't remember exactly what we said. It was something about the weather, and he says, he asked me what I did, and I told him I was shooting for Marlboro, and we kind of exchanged. It was probably a five minute, sort of connection there. And thereafter, I must say, every time he saw me, he would give me a thumbs up or a wink, or how you doing, and and he realized I spoke Portuguese too. So we had a couple of exchanges thereafter. And interestingly, my son asked if he would recognize me today, if Ayrton Senna would recognize Paul Velasco. And I said, he might not remember my name, but I'm sure he'll remember the tall, ugly guy photographing him. Anyway, so I spent a couple of years doing the Formula One scene, and South Africa was burning at the time, early 90s by then, and it was basically the end of apartheid, and I was watching this on the news all the time, and I kind of got a desire to do the photojournalism in me. And I gave all that up, and I went back to South Africa and shot the end of apartheid and the birth of the new South Africa. And the years have gone by, and as one does in those days, especially, negs ended up in boxes, and prints and slides all in boxes and sheets and stuff like that. It's not like now where it's all on hard drives, and a lot of stuff wasn't scanned. And just 25 years down the road, last year in late 2015, I decided to tuck into these boxes, and I started finding this amazing stuff, and I'd forgotten almost about it. I knew they were there in the back of my mind, but when they actually took life by me scanning them and editing them, and I realized this is some pretty cool stuff here. And a lot of them are outtakes, because the good stuff obviously was by my clients. Associated Press kept a lot of my stuff, and I think a lot of stuff went to Marlboro. I think I got a lot of it back, and some of the agencies I worked with along the way have probably still got some of my stuff, but I think I got a fair chunk. And here is the is, like I said, 25 years down the line, I don't know, 30, whatever, it's here, it's real now. And I just find it appropriate to present it now in this kind of slideshow form.